What if everything you thought you knew about your ancient ancestors' diets was wrong? Imagine peering back tens of thousands of years, past Hollywood's roaring mammoth hunts and the cliché of the caveman gnawing a bloody bone. Would you be shocked to discover that prehistoric humans ate things that would turn your stomach? Or that, in many ways, their eating habits were far more creative and disturbing than our wildest fantasies? Recent scientific discoveries have forced us to confront uncomfortable truths about our origins, shattering old myths and challenging what it really means to be human. Few stories are as compelling as the saga of food, how it shaped the bodies and minds of those who came before us. Archaeologists and biologists are now painting a vivid and at times grisly picture of humanity's earliest kitchens. Their findings reveal a diverse and often brutal struggle for survival, a culinary adventure marked not just by invention, but by desperation, adaptation, and remarkable ingenuity. The picture of prehistoric human diets that emerges from recent scientific discoveries is far richer and more unsettling than the old, simplistic notion of the caveman feasting exclusively on chunks of mammoth meat. As archaeologists have painstakingly sifted through ancient campsites, pored over fossilized bones, and analyzed microscopic residues on old tools and teeth, one fact becomes clear. Our ancestors' food choices were endlessly inventive and, at times, truly grisly. Forget the popular image of relentless meat hunger shaping human evolution. In reality, plant foods played an essential and sometimes dominant role. New evidence from archaeological sites along the Jordan River in Israel and regions in East Asia reveals that starchy plants, acorns, wild cereals, tubers, and aquatic vegetation were major sources of energy and nutrition for ancient hunter-gatherers. Tools for processing and grinding these foods, and even microscopic grains of starch embedded in the grooves of stone tools, prove that plant-based resources, cooked and raw, made up much of the prehistoric menu. Recent bone isotope analysis of humans from 6,500 years ago in South America, for example, shows that between 70–95% of their diet was plant-based, not meat. This plant-heavy pattern was repeated, to varying degrees, across continents and ages, a testament to both the adaptability and resourcefulness of our species. But animal products certainly played their part in the evolutionary story. Early humans hunted large mammals when possible, but they were equally quick to scavenge, trap smaller creatures, fish, and forage for insects in times of scarcity. As omnivores, flexibility was their greatest asset, consuming whatever was available, including the digested plant matter found in the guts of animals, to extract every possible calorie. Sometimes, however, survival or social rituals veered into the macabre. Scientific studies have revealed clear evidence of cannibalism throughout human prehistory, and likely its evolutionary precursors. Butchery marks on 4–5 million-year-old bones from Kenya are widely cited as the oldest confirmed evidence that hominids, possibly Homo erectus, butchered and ate the flesh from their own kind. At various sites in Spain, France, and across Europe, archaeologists have uncovered fossilized bones bearing telltale cut marks, signs of marrow extraction, and even human bite marks. All strong evidence that cannibalism, deliberate or opportunistic, was sometimes woven into the fabric of ancient life. The motivations range from dire need in times of famine or conflict to funerary rituals and perhaps social bonding or the assertion of dominance. Yet, ironically, the nutritional value of human flesh is not particularly high compared to large beasts, and the risks such as prion disease would have made frequent cannibalism dangerous. These latest revelations deeply challenge widespread fads like the paleo diet that imagine a single, meat-heavy ancestral lifestyle. In truth, what ancient humans ate was shaped as much by climate, geography, technology, and group cooperation as by instinct and, above all, by a willingness to experiment, improvise, and even transgress moral boundaries when circumstances demanded it. The grisly and ingenious saga of ancestral dining is more than just a curiosity. It is a story about the human capacity for flexibility, about how risk, resourcefulness, and sometimes even acts of horror contributed to survival. Every meal, from roasted root to rare marrow, was a lesson in adaptation, an evolutionary experiment with consequences that still echo in who we are, how we eat, and how we think about what makes us human. As scientists peer deeper into the fossil record and unearth ever more sophisticated traces of our ancestors' diets, what stands out is not simply how much they ate, but how they ate to survive, innovate, and ultimately thrive. In the shadow of scarcity and danger, prehistoric humans explored the full spectrum of edible possibilities available in their environments, sometimes confronting the boundaries of the palatable and the forbidden. Archaeological evidence of cut marks on bones, charred plant remains, and even fossilized parasites in ancient coprolites, desiccated feces, illustrates just how diverse and sometimes unsettling our ancestors' meals could be. Beyond well-known staples like grains and game, prehistoric people consumed what the land and their ingenuity allowed. Roots dug from floodplains, bugs pried from rotten logs, eggs poached from nests, mushroom clusters scavenged after rain, and grubs wriggling beneath stones. In certain desperate epochs, even maggots or decayed meat were fair game, their caloric value outweighing any sense of revulsion. Nor were these foods consumed crudely. The mastery of fire opened a culinary revolution. Roasting broke down toxins, improved flavors, and rendered fibrous roots digestible. Over millennia, the evolution of tools enabled the pounding, grinding, and slicing of ingredients, allowing prehistoric cooks to transform wild plants and tough meats into edible, more nourishing forms. Evidence even suggests the earliest use of seasonings and preservative practices, such as smoking or drying, to extend the shelf life of precious resources. Yet, perhaps the most fascinating revelation comes not from what prehistoric humans ate, but from why and how their diets changed. Flexible feeding strategies may have fostered social collaboration, sharing a roasted meal around a fire or pooling roots and meat for communal stews, ushering in new forms of culture, cooperation, and even the early stirrings of empathy and taboo. As dietary experiments succeeded or failed, those who mastered variety and invention were more likely to survive, reproduce, and pass on their behavioral legacies. Some researchers even argue that this dietary complexity fueled the rapid expansion of the human brain, laying the groundwork for creativity, language, and technology. In sharp contrast to modern ancestral diets that narrowly define how our forebears ate, it was precisely their openness to change, their willingness to exploit every available food source, and their resourcefulness in transforming the unappetizing into sustenance that allowed humanity to flourish in wildly unpredictable worlds. The mystery around the prehistoric table is far from solved. Each new excavation, each analytical breakthrough, hints at more surprises, exotic ingredients yet unidentified, rituals and recipes unimagined by contemporary minds, and perhaps even darker chapters waiting discovery. What would you be willing to eat to survive? And more provocatively, what forbidden or unconventional foods might yet shape our future as resources grow scarce and our world transforms anew? As the past teaches us, nourishment has always come at the crossroads of necessity, curiosity, and invention. The grisly, ingenious meals of our ancestors are not only a testament to their survival, but a reminder of our own capacity to adapt, learn, and persist, no matter how daunting the menu may appear.